for the first time in franchise history, the Indiana Fever are WNBA Commissioner's Cup champions.
You could almost hear the scriptwriters sharpening their script when Indiana's team bus rolled up to the Commissioner Cup final. Caitlin Clark, a game-time decision, was ruled out hours before the game. Daira Dantas, arguably Seattle's best player, was thousands of miles away on national team duty. DeWanna Bonner, the supposed veteran glue who packed her bags after 9 games, was also not playing. Even the league's own promos had already crowned the Minnesota Lynx, a 10-point favorite, riding a 14-4 record, as back-to-back Commissioner's Cup champions. Headlines everywhere called game before the game had started.
Minnesota Lynx. This is Howard setting up McDonald, knocking down the tray. Finds it cutting McDonald, easy deuce.
But the script couldn't have been written any better. Coach Stephanie White gathered her shaken roster in the visitors' locker room, looked them in the eyes, and rehearsed the speech she had whispered all week. Pressure is a privilege. A few got the message and went to work. What nobody realized inside those walls or out was that Indiana had secretly decided to weaponize every ounce of disrespect, every meme, every pre-written funeral speech. They were done asking to be taken seriously. They were ready to grab that respect and leave tire marks on whoever got in the way. They left it all in the field and won the game without their fellow superstar, Caitlin Clark. For 3 full weeks, haters warned that the Fever's offense without Clark resembled a ticking time bomb. Possessions dragged, transition opportunities evaporated. Social media trolls spent more energy tracking DeWanna Bonner's coffee shop selfies than tracking Indiana's ball movement stats. They stated that every benching, every blown assignment became proof the Fever were imploding. The betting line ballooned, and casual fans started daydreaming about Minnesota blowing out Fever. If it was only that easy.
What are some of the keys that you see as to how exactly you're going to do that, or what you guys need to do to approach the game successfully?
Yeah, I mean, I think we've got to be disruptive. We've got to make sure that we play with a level of physicality that doesn't allow them to just pass the ball around where everywhere that they want to pass it. So we've got to make sure that we're disruptive. We got to make sure that we're elite at our on-ball screening defense.
Fever coaches saw something different. They reviewed hours of Lynx tape and noticed that Minnesota's vaunted flow offense stalled whenever opponents flattened passing lanes and baited Collier into early kickouts. If we overhelp from the weak side, we're dead, Coach warned. But if we stay home, let them jam the elbow and make them play one-on-one, they blink. The players remembered and executed. No Clark meant fewer bailout threes and fewer logo range momentum swings. Yet something else was brewing: anger.
DeWanna Bonner was brought in for leadership. She was brought in for leadership. And do you want to know all that these young players learned from her? If things don't go your way, refuse to show up. Continue to get paid a max contract while you are sitting out, refusing to play.
She got benched, she couldn't handle it, I want out.
Bonner's exit had been the match. Talk radio callers labeling Indiana a one-trick pony became the topic. Mitchell told reporters, "We've heard every excuse people make for why we can't win without Caitlin. Tonight it's time to shut that noise off." But that was just the start.
Head coach Stephanie White has a motto. She says, "Pressure is a privilege." You came into the former champion's house and took them down on their home floor. How does it feel to bring Indiana their first championship?
It feels great. We knew that we had to come in here with energy. We know that they're a great team and they were going to go on runs. And so for us, it was about containing those runs and then going on our own.
Tip off. Minnesota burst ahead on crisp back cuts and elbow jumpers. The crowd roared. Every commentator reached for the blowout cliche vault. But with 8 minutes left in the second quarter, everything flipped. The Indiana Fever locked in, flipping the script upside down, and suddenly the Lynx looked mortal. Over the next 3 minutes, Indiana uncorked an 18-0 run. Mitchell from the left wing, McDonald slithering coast to coast, Cunningham banging a triple while looking flawlessly.
Gives it up to Mitchell. Mitchell. Over to Cunningham, long range, bottoms! Big time trifecta, Sophie Cunningham.
ESPN's win probability graphic whiplashed from 83% Lynx to 55% Fever so quickly the analytics desk needed a reboot. Minnesota entered halftime trailing 32-27, and the broadcast crew scrambled for new talking points. Viewers got a split screen of a stunned Cheryl Reeve mind being blown and Caitlin Clark on the bench, clapping like a proud older sister. But the Fever weren't satisfied with moral victories. Mitchell punched her fist into her chest and reminded teammates, finish the job.
Finds Hull beyond the arc. It's score! Holson with the trifecta.
And that's how you do it.
Over to Cunningham, long range, bottoms!
A joint effort across the board. Everyone on this roster did their part tonight.
Second half basketball can be cruel. Momentum evaporates, adrenaline crashes, and Cinderella stories usually revert to pumpkins. Indiana had endured that script before, but not tonight. Mitchell went crazy in the third quarter, moves that froze Lynx players, and she even scooped a left-hand layup high over a Lynx's player's outstretched arms. On the next set, she slipped a pocket pass to Boston, who bullied her way to an and one that made the arena go crazy. That single possession uncorked the version of Boston the league feared last season. She sealed early, delivered lightning-quick duck-ins, and flashed a feathery elbow jumper Minnesota hadn't planned on. By the fourth quarter, her stat line read 12-11-6, nothing gaudy but pure oxygen for a squad that had been suffocating on stagnant possessions.
Howard. Finds it, Cutting McDonald, easy deuce.
Beautiful read by Natasha Howard. And Ari McDonald, that opened up the three-point shot.
Howard to steal. Open floor in front of her, got the lay. Indiana battling.
This crowd is quiet. Natasha Howard is a former Defensive Player of the Year, knows the ball is coming to Nafisa Collier, just gets that deflection, gets going in the open court. And it is all Indiana in terms of the momentum in this game right now. This building is quiet.
Yet as oppressive as Mitchell and Boston looked, they were only 2 chapters of Indiana's revenge novel. Something even louder was brewing. Natasha Howard, a defensive bully lying dormant for half the season, was ready to tear the narrative open.
What gave you the confidence to come in here and take down this team on their home floor?
We knew we were capable. God has equipped us, and so for us about coming in here and doing what we know what to do, I think the entire game, coach just continued to instill that confidence, continue to tell us take it one possession at a time, and we did that.
The game plan was obviously to wall off the paint against you and Tosh, but both of you guys finished with double-doubles. How did you guys get freed up? And for you especially, how'd you get going late in this game?
I mean, it started with Tosh. Tosh, that entire first half and even that entire game, just really took it to them, made them have to guard. And so with her attacking from different angles, they had to space out a little bit. And that fourth quarter, I was able to score.
And finally, Aaliyah, what are you going to do with your prize money?
That's for me to know.
Congratulations, lady.
The final horn sounded at 74:59, and you could feel the collective gas from haters everywhere. Cameras swarmed the floor, but one lens stayed glued to Caitlin Clark, clutched the trophy, and pretended to take a triumphant sip. That's when she shouted, "Everybody in the league is sick."
Guys, I just know everybody in the league is sick. They're pissed.
6 words, 20 million impressions inside an hour. Fans roared approval, skeptics cried arrogance, league executives quietly smiled because controversy equals clicks. But inside that champagne mist, those words meant something purer. They were Clark's endorsement of her teammates' resilience, a public call out of every whisper that Indiana existed solely to orbit her brand. Boston later explained, "People forgot we're pros too. Kate just handed the mic back to us in her own spicy way." Mitchell said, "She spoke what we all felt. Jealousy is real, but so is our heart." Howard added, "Let them be mad." ESPN's Lynx Dominate Indiana segment never saw daylight. Instead, the network pivoted to a hastily filmed segment titled How the Fever Shattered Expectations. CBS edited its headline mid-article, while Vegas Books reported the Cup upset as the evening's one of their books' worst days in 18 months. Social media chatter exploded. Hashtags like Built for 2025, Sick to Their Stomach, Clarkless Clutch were rolling. Just like that, the Indiana Fever were back. Sponsors noticed, team owners noticed, and even even Vegas noticed. And inside the Fever's locker room, logistics managers juggled calls from late-night talk shows seeking Mitchell, Boston, and Howard for remote interviews. The WNBA, battling for mainstream footing, suddenly possessed a blockbuster storyline. The supposed one-star sideshow was actually a hydra, cut off one head, 3 grow back.
Coming into this, you talked about so much, hey, you got to have the right approach, don't trick this off, like have the focus. Take me inside that mindset of you guys coming into this game and how tonight was just a collective effort that got it done.
I describe this entire experience as a gut check experience, and I mean that intentionally. I mean physically, mentally, psychologically. It was a gut check moment today, and I think for us, it was about making sure we won those moments that mattered. And I thought down the stretch of the game, we did an unbelievable job of just staying together, weathering the storm, and kind of utilizing what we needed to based on our schemes and our personnel from practice. And I thought down the stretch of the game specifically, we bought in. All 5 of us, whoever was on the floor bought in, and I think you guys got to see that.
In sports lore, watershed moments hinge on more than hardware. They hinge on perception. Indiana's Cup triumph didn't merely upset a favorite, it torpedoed the prevailing wisdom that parity dies whenever a mega rookie warps a franchise's orbit. The Fever proved they could defend the three-point line, rebound against giants, execute in crunch time, and yes, draw eyeballs, all while their star player sat in street clothes. That's a galaxy-sized problem for opponents, because the groin strain will heal, probably sooner than schedules prefer. When Clark returns, she'll be plugging herself into a lineup that has now discovered its own answer sheet. Mitchell as lead microwave, Boston as two-way anchor, Howard as defensive detonator, Cunningham and Hull as chaos catalysts, McDonald as turbo spark. Front offices are playing catch-up, fans are doubling down, and rivals are rewriting scouting reports while muttering damn under their breath.
I know it's not a WNBA championship, but to celebrate a championship nonetheless on Target Center on the floor.
Yeah, I mean, we have a resilient group. You know, they're tough mentally, physically. They pull for one another. You know, I don't know if it's something that I learned that I didn't already know. It's just I'm proud for them that they can see it come to fruition. Being able to handle the ebbs and flows of the game, being able to give to one another regardless of struggles. I mean, we had some players that were struggling. We had some moments where we struggled, but we still gave to one another. And that's a growth area for our team. I felt like our execution through 3 quarters on both ends of the floor was really good against an outstanding team. I mean, I'm just really proud of this group.
Pressure, Coach White insisted, is a privilege. Yet even she admitted post-game that privilege cuts both ways. It can bury you under expectation or forge you into a champion. On this night, it forged something terrifyingly resilient. Indiana didn't just lift a trophy, they detonated a league narrative, jammed a crowbar into every lazy take, and chiseled their own identity in granite. So where does the story go? For this Indiana team, the sky is the limit, so we'll just have to wait to see what prevails. One thing is for sure, the Indiana Fever are this year's Commissioner Cup's winners, and no one can take that from them. If that vision sets your pulse racing, smash subscribe, ring the bell, and type "I've got the Fever" below, because this roller coaster has only climbed the first hill, and the drop is coming fast. Meanwhile, to every skeptic scribbling another Indiana obituary, keep that draft handy. The Fever might need fresh confetti soon.